Did you know that the average American in their 30s has less than $4,800 in savings? That's barely enough to cover 1 month of expenses for most households. Never wonder if your financial situation is truly average or if you could do better? This video breaks down the shocking financial reality for Americans across different age groups, from millennials struggling with debt to boomers facing retirement concerns. You'll discover exactly how to beat these concerning averages, no matter where you're starting from, and build the financial security that most Americans are missing today. Did you know that 64% of Americans believe they're financially average when compared to their peers? It's a comforting thought, isn't it? To think we're doing just fine, neither falling behind nor racing ahead. But here's the reality check. This perception rarely matches the actual numbers. When most of us look at our bank accounts, credit card statements, and retirement savings, we tend to give ourselves a passing grade. This mental shortcut creates a dangerous financial blind spot affecting millions of Americans. The numbers say otherwise. Let's look at what the data actually shows. The median income for Americans aged 25 to 34 hovers around $35,000. A figure that gradually climbs to about $57,000 for those in their mid-40s to mid-50s. Many people significantly underestimate what it takes to be financially stable, comparing themselves to an imaginary benchmark that simply doesn't exist. Take credit scores, for instance. The average 20-something has a credit score of around 662. That's considered just fair by most lenders. Yet, many young adults overestimate their creditworthiness, setting themselves up for nasty surprises when applying for loans or mortgages. This disconnect happens for several reasons. We are living in an age of curated online personas. Comparing your complete financial picture to someone else's highlight reel is like matching your bank statement against their vacation photos. When your college roommate posts from their third vacation this year, or your coworker shows off their brand new car, you're not seeing the credit card debt or depleted savings account lurking behind the scenes. Then there's lifestyle inflation, that subtle upward creep in spending that happens as our income rises. We upgrade our apartments, eat at nicer restaurants, and buy more expensive clothes, all while telling ourselves these purchases are reasonable. Before we know it, our expenses have expanded to consume any potential for savings or investment. The scariest part? This perception gap leads to complacency. When we believe we're doing fine financially, we lose the motivation to make meaningful changes. Behavioral economists have found that this delays crucial decisions, like increasing retirement contributions, paying down high-interest debt, or building emergency savings. But understanding where you truly stand financially shouldn't be a source of anxiety. It should be empowering. Knowing the real averages gives you a clear starting point. Maybe you discover you're actually ahead in some areas, which can reinforce positive habits. Or perhaps you find you're falling behind in saving for retirement, which might be the wake-up call you need. In the coming sections, we'll break down exactly what average really looks like at each stage of life, from your debt-laden 20s through your peak earning years and into retirement. You'll see specifically how Americans are doing with income, savings, debt, and credit at each age bracket, and more importantly, how you can position yourself to beat these averages. Let's dive into the first critical stage of financial life, your 20s. While many see this decade as the time for exploration and experiences, the financial reality paints a sobering picture. The average 25-year-old has just $3,240 in savings, barely enough to cover a single month of expenses. This thin financial cushion leaves many young adults perpetually on the edge of a financial emergency. The spending pattern among those under 25 reveals a troubling reality. The average monthly outlay of $3,500 frequently exceeds income, creating what financial experts call a negative savings rate. This immediate imbalance sets off a cascade of financial challenges that can last for decades. This overspending doesn't exist in isolation. It's typically compounded by significant student loan burdens and entry-level salaries that struggle to cover basic living expenses. Take Jordan, for example, a 24-year-old marketing assistant earning $42,000 annually. Between her $380 monthly student loan payment, $950 for rent, and regular social spending, she consistently finds herself dipping into credit cards by month's end, adding to her debt despite having stable income. The credit situation compounds these challenges. A fair credit score impacts far more than borrowing capabilities. Landlords require higher security deposits, auto loans come with inflated interest rates, and even employers sometimes check credit reports during hiring. These financial penalties create a compounding disadvantage that can take years to overcome. These early financial habits are like the foundation of a house. Once set, they're incredibly difficult to change. Just as a sapling grows in the direction it's initially bent, financial behaviors established in your 20s tend to shape your money management for life. The young adult who hasn't learned to live below their means typically continues that pattern even as income grows, perpetually undermining their financial progress. Financial experts identify this decade as the critical period for establishing positive patterns. Those who develop disciplined approaches now create advantages that dramatically compound over time. The solution requires 3 focused strategies: aggressive debt reduction, particularly high-interest debt, intentional credit building through responsible credit use, and automating savings at 15% of income, even if starting smaller and gradually increasing. Successful 20-somethings share common approaches. They actively manage budgets, eliminate unnecessary expenses, and focus on increasing income through skill development or side hustles. The difference isn't usually dramatic income. It's intentional financial management that positions them for long-term success. Those disciplined financial habits established in your 20s, they're about to face their ultimate test. Your 30s introduce a perfect storm of competing financial priorities, family formation, home purchases, and career advancement, that separates those who merely earn from those who build wealth. This is where financial paths dramatically diverge, creating a widening gap between the financially strategic and everyone else. The median 30-something American earns around $53,000, but has less than $5,000 in savings while carrying over $5,500 in credit card debt. Meanwhile, the top 20% have already accumulated net worths exceeding $100,000. This dramatic contrast emerges from fundamentally different responses to the decade's unique financial pressures. While the average American increases their lifestyle spending to $5,300 monthly, the financially savvy make strategic decisions that compound over time. By age 35, retirement experts recommend having twice your annual salary saved, meaning someone earning that median $53,000 should have approximately $106,000 set aside. Yet the average 401k balance for this age group sits at just $19,400, more than 5 times below the recommended amount. This shortfall becomes particularly problematic as the decade progresses. Emergency preparedness reveals another critical gap. Only 36% of Americans in their 30s have enough savings to cover 3 months of expenses, a vulnerability that becomes especially problematic when facing unexpected costs related to homes, children, and career transitions. The median net worth for this age group is $91,300, but this figure is heavily skewed by home equity and masks the reality that many have negative net worths when excluding their primary residence. Simultaneously, lifestyle inflation silently erodes financial progress. The transition from a $900 apartment to a $2,500 mortgage, from used cars to new SUVs, and from budget trips to premium family getaways happens so gradually that many don't realize how significantly their spending has expanded. 3 strategies distinguish those building substantial wealth in their 30s. First, leveraging housing as an asset. Smart 30-somethings increasingly turn to house hacking, purchasing multi-unit properties where rental income from other units covers their housing costs, transforming their largest monthly expense into a wealth-building asset. Second, aggressive retirement account funding that maximizes tax benefits and employer matches. The financially successful prioritize retirement accounts before lifestyle upgrades, understanding that compound growth during this decade creates exponential differences by retirement age. Third, developing specialized, high-value skills that significantly increase income potential. While average workers receive standard 2 to 3% raises, those who strategically acquire in-demand skills often boost their incomes by 15 to 20% through job changes or specialized consulting work. As those specialized skills boost your income through your 30s and into your 40s, something puzzling happens. While paychecks grow, financial security often doesn't keep pace. Despite reaching their peak earning years, the median American in their 40s has retirement savings of just $26,700, barely enough to cover 4 months of their actual expenses. How can this alarming disconnect exist? Welcome to the financial paradox of your 40s and 50s. These decades represent your greatest income potential, but also your greatest financial pressure. The numbers paint a troubling picture. Retirement savings for those in their 50s improves to $55,100, but remains dramatically below what experts recommend for a secure retirement. The challenge? Your spending likely outpaces your earning. Americans aged 45 to 54 spend approximately $6,900 monthly, nearly $83,000 annually. Add to this the sandwich generation squeeze, where you're simultaneously supporting children's college expenses and aging parents, and even impressive incomes can feel inadequate. Imagine your finances as a bucket with holes. In your 40s and 50s, your income pours in faster than ever, but lifestyle inflation and family obligations create larger drainage points that prevent meaningful accumulation. Your credit profile actually peaks during these years, averaging 684 for those in their 40s and climbing to 706 for those in their 50s. These excellent scores unlock better financing terms and wealth-building opportunities. Yet, many continue paying higher interest rates or miss strategic debt consolidation opportunities. The psychological burden intensifies as retirement looms closer. The gap between your current savings and retirement needs becomes impossible to ignore, creating anxiety despite your higher income. But these decades offer powerful transformation opportunities. Your higher income creates leverage for financial change when directed strategically. First, prioritize aggressive debt elimination. With stronger incomes, you can attack high-interest debt, redirecting those freed dollars toward building retirement security. Second, maximize catch-up retirement contributions. After 50, the IRS allows additional contributions to retirement accounts, an acceleration opportunity unavailable to younger workers. Third, consider strategic downsizing. Many Americans in their 50s maintain homes sized for families they no longer need to accommodate. Right-sizing your living situation can free substantial capital for retirement security. Finally, develop passive income streams, whether through real estate, dividend-producing portfolios, or side businesses. Creating income that doesn't require active work provides both current cash flow and future security. The potential transformation is significant. One couple in their late 40s implemented structured budgeting and strategic debt elimination, increasing their retirement contributions from 8% to 22% of income within 18 months, without feeling a significant lifestyle impact. Those remarkable transformations we saw in the 40s and 50s can indeed set the stage for retirement success, but the true test comes when regular paychecks stop arriving. Despite working their entire lives, a shocking 40% of Americans enter retirement still carrying mortgage debt, a financial burden that drastically limits their options in what should be their golden years. Meet David, who at 64 thought his finances were in order until he calculated his actual retirement income. Like many Americans, he discovered the median net worth of $266,400 for 65-year-olds translates to only about $10,000 annually using the 4% withdrawal rule. That's less than $850 monthly, barely enough to cover basic utilities and groceries, let alone maintain his current lifestyle. There's a significant disconnect between retirement expectations and financial reality. Many anticipate maintaining their lifestyle, traveling more, or pursuing hobbies. Instead, they face an income cliff. Social Security typically replaces only about 40% of pre-retirement income, leaving a substantial gap that savings must fill. Americans aged 65 to 74 average about $4,700 in monthly expenses. This reduced spending isn't typically a choice, but a necessity driven by limited resources. Healthcare costs often increase dramatically during these years, consuming a growing portion of fixed incomes and further squeezing already tight budgets. Americans in their 60s have an average credit score of 749, considered excellent by lending standards. Despite this achievement, the average 401k balance for 60 to 69-year-olds sits at just $53,500, generating merely $2,140 in annual income using safe withdrawal rates. This stark contrast reveals how good credit habits don't automatically translate to retirement readiness. Even in the final working years, strategic adjustments can significantly improve retirement outcomes. Working just 2 to 3 years longer creates a powerful triple benefit: additional savings contributions, delayed Social Security benefits, increasing approximately 8% for each year until age 70, and fewer years drawing down existing savings. Strategic housing decisions represent another powerful lever. When Maria downsized from her 4-bedroom home to a 2-bedroom condo, she freed up substantial equity to bolster her retirement accounts while reducing monthly expenses and maintenance burdens, improving both finances and quality of life. The bucket approach to retirement income helps balance current needs with continued growth. This method segments savings into immediate, intermediate, and long-term buckets with appropriate investment allocations, providing both income stability and psychological comfort during market fluctuations. Case studies show that retirees who implemented these strategies, even late in their careers, experienced dramatically different outcomes than those who simply drifted into retirement age. Individuals who worked until 68 instead of 65, while maximizing catch-up contributions, increased their retirement income by nearly 33%, transforming retirement from barely adequate to comfortable. We've covered a lot of sobering statistics today, but here's what matters. These numbers don't define your future. Approximately 70% of people who engage in financial education and set specific goals report significant improvements with their situations over time. Ready to define what average means? As financial experts emphasize, your financial future isn't defined by averages, but by the consistent actions you take each day. This principle applies whether you're 22 or 62. Think of your financial journey as a canvas. Each intentional decision adds a meaningful stroke. Financial freedom comes from making above-average choices that compound over time. Educate yourself, set goals, and take consistent action. Your future self will thank you.